You do not sink a battleship hiding in a fjord. That was the rule. Everyone knew it. A capital ship protected by mountains, ringed with anti-submarine nets, watched by sonar stations, guarded by destroyers and shore batteries. This was not a target. It was a fortress, a floating citadel of steel and arrogance. For Nazi Germany, that ship was Tirpitz. 42,000 tons of armor and firepower. 8 15-inch guns. A crew of more than 2,500 men. Moored deep inside Norway's fjord, surrounded by steep rock walls that turned every explosion into a muffled echo and every approach into a death trap. British naval intelligence called her the Beast. The German Navy called her the Queen of the North. And the rule said she was untouchable. Air raids failed. Torpedoes missed. Bombs bounced off her armored deck. Every attempt cost lives and aircraft, and achieved nothing. So the rule hardened into certainty. You do not attack Tirpitz where she sleeps. But in September 1943, a handful of men in vessels smaller than city buses decided the rule was wrong. And one of them was Lieutenant Basil Place. You are Basil Place, 28 years old, Royal Navy. Calm voice. Methodical mind. The kind of officer who does not raise his tone because he never needs to. You command X-7, one of 6 experimental British midget submarines known simply as X-craft. Each one is 51 feet long. Diameter, 5 feet. Crew, 4 men. No bunks. No toilet. No margin for error. You are not supposed to fight ships like Tirpitz. These submarines were dismissed by skeptics as impractical. Too slow, too fragile, too strange. Some in the Admiralty quietly called them useless. But Britain is desperate. Tirpitz does not need to fire her guns to change the war. Her very existence pins down entire Allied fleets. Every Arctic convoy to the Soviet Union sails under her shadow. Hundreds of thousands of tons of supplies hang on the question, will Tirpitz sortie today? And because she might, battleships and carriers must wait, fuel burning, crews straining, just to contain her. If Tirpitz survives, she wins without firing a shot. So the plan becomes audacious, bordering on suicidal. You will tow X-craft from Scotland to Norway, 1,200 miles behind full-sized submarines. Then you will detach, creep into the fjord, slip through the defenses and place 2 explosive charges, each weighing 2 tons, directly beneath Tirpitz's keel. You are not expected to escape. You are expected to succeed. And on September 18, 1943, the tow lines were released. Now you are alone. Ahead of you lies fjord. Behind you lies the North Sea. And beneath your feet, silence, pressure, and the ticking certainty of what comes next. You submerge before dawn. Inside X-7, the air smells of oil, sweat, and metal. The temperature drops. Condensation runs down the steel walls. Every sound feels too loud. You check your depth. 60 feet. Ahead, sonar pings begin to echo through the hull, soft, rhythmic pulses from German listening stations. You order slow speed. Barely a crawl. The fjord narrows. Rock walls rise on either side, funneling you forward. There is no room to maneuver. No room to retreat. Then it appears. The first anti-submarine net. Steel cables suspended from floats stretching from shore to shore. Designed to stop full-sized submarines cold. You cannot cut it. You cannot ram it. You wait. Minutes pass. 10. 20. A tide shift lifts the floats just enough. You angle X-7 upward. Millimeter by millimeter. The hull scrapes metal. A screech vibrates through the submarine. You freeze. Above you, German sentries stand less than 30 feet away. One dropped wrench, one careless boot, and the water around you explodes with depth charges. The scraping stops. You clear the net. Now the inner defenses. You move forward again. 1,500 yards to Tirpitz. Then 1,200. Then 900. Her hull looms out of the darkness like a cliff face. Black. Endless. Alive with vibration from auxiliary engines. You feel very small. You maneuver beneath her belly. This is the most dangerous position imaginable. One mistake and you pin yourself against the keel with no escape. Then disaster. X-7 loses depth control. She rises. The periscope breaks the surface. Searchlights snap on. You hear shouting above the water. Gunfire erupts. Bullets hammer the sea, striking the conning tower like hail. The submarine shudders. You dive hard. Too hard. X-7 slams into the seabed. The lights go out. Silence. Then alarms. Flooding in the engine room. Batteries damaged. Chlorine gas begins to form, a lethal green fog that burns the lungs. You know the truth now. You are not getting out. But the charges are still intact. You order the release. 1 2-ton charge drops beneath Tirpitz's forward section. Another under her stern. You set the timers. 1 hour. German destroyers above begin dropping depth charges. The explosions punch the water, slamming X-7 like a fist. Instruments shatter. Men are thrown against bulkheads. The submarine cannot move. You make the decision. You surface. Hatches open. Cold Arctic water floods in. You and your crew scramble out, hands raised as German sailors aim rifles from the deck above. You are captured. Taken aboard Tirpitz herself. The irony is brutal. Below your feet the charges tick. Minutes pass. German officers interrogate you. You give only name, rank, number. You say nothing else. Then, a low, distant thud. Followed by a second explosion so massive the entire battleship lifts. Steel screams. Machinery tears loose. Turbines rip from their mountings. Bulkheads buckle. Water floods compartments at once. Men are thrown from their feet. Lights go out across the ship. The hull twists like a wounded animal. Tirpitz does not sink. But she is broken. What the German command does not understand at first is how deep the damage goes. Tirpitz's internal structure is warped. Her engines are crippled. One propeller shaft bends beyond repair. Electrical systems fail throughout the ship. She is operationally dead. Repairs will take 6 months, then 9, then longer still. And during that time she cannot threaten a single convoy. Allied shipping breathes again. Battleships are released for other operations. Escort carriers redeploy. Resources shift. A 4-man submarine has achieved what entire air wings could not. Admiral Donitz calls the attack a shock of the highest order. Hitler, furious, orders Tirpitz never to risk open battle again. The Queen of the North becomes a prisoner of her own fjord. She will never sail offensively. Lieutenant Basil Place survives captivity. So does his counterpart, Lieutenant Donald Cameron of X-6. 6 X-craft set out on the mission. Only 2 reach the target. 8 men do not return. Place receives the Victoria Cross, Britain's highest award for valor. He is 28 years old. Tirpitz will finally be sunk a year later by RAF bombers. But by then her threat is long gone. And it began here. In darkness. In silence. In a vessel deemed useless. If this story moved you, please hit that like button. Every click tells the algorithm this piece of history is worth remembering. We're dedicated to rescuing these forgotten stories from the archives. If you want to join us on this mission, please subscribe and turn on notifications. Where are you watching from? Drop a comment with your city or country and tell us if someone in your family served. Thank you for ensuring that Basil Place and the 4 men of X-7 do not disappear into silence. They deserve to be remembered,